I began my project by drawing a visual language of sea life, using watercolours to draw each motif individually. I then scanned my drawings and began to explore composition. I was inspired by my research into Emma Shipley's work and how she constructs a brick to then modify the details to create a more character within the print. I achieved this by changing the direction of the fish. This surface print has curved lines and I continued to explore in different compositions, trying not to lose the detail in my drawings. I explored a multi-directional surface print, creating a more fluid, organic print using 6 colours. I took time to investigate the right resolution for this print so that it continued to be clear and sharp. One of my favourite things to do is to create visual boards to explore scale of print and how this would work in different contexts. I think this print would work well for swimwear. This print was achieved by drawing on Illustrator and then layering my images, taking bits of my visual research and merging them together. I then had this print digitally printed and made into a jacket for a festival. I think this print is successful because this is the first time I was able to do a seamless print. More explorations of my digital work, this time simplifying colours and just using tones of blues and pinks. Another seamless print, this time a little bit more abstract, using insects and on the seafloor and some coral. Um, I continued exploring my prints on a digital format. This time, like really layering some of my images, thinking about the deep sea floor and the complexities under there. And I quite like this print. It's completely different to some of my other prints. It is a little bit trippy, but yes, it's become really 3D. Imagining bringing the sea life into the city, creating some visuals to explore different ideas. I then moved on to like creating my own mythical creatures. Um, I did a little bit of research into Greek mythology and created a mood board of. This print was designed on Illustrator by first drawing shape and then adding colour. Um, I mirrored the brick to create a more dynamic geometric structure. These are the same motifs as the previous slide, but for me, this was a breakthrough because it was interesting to change the scale of the motif and how this changes the print. I continue to investigate how or what message did I want my prints to convey. And so this was a more conversational print and working on the idea of like mermaids saving the ocean. I explored different concepts like animal mermaids and seahorses and how Chinese medicine use seahorses and the effects of this in the sea world. Some of these explorations were successful, some weren't. Exploring different methods of drawing, like in Procreate, and just mirroring these motifs in a more blocky way, just investigating whether I could find any shapes that I was interested in. This print didn't go further. Although this print is not entirely successful, as it's very blocky, for me it is a reminder of my investigation into like kind of filling the gaps once I create a brick to that I can carry on like drawing to create a seamless print. In this print I was merging my motifs to create my own mythical creatures. Here I use my drawings, my watercolor drawings, but then I start foiling on my drawings to then scan these drawings and edit them and create new compositions. Merging my visual research into my own mythical creatures together. Continuing drawing my mystical creatures like mermaids, with the idea of mermaids saving the ocean, or how does pollution affect the mermaids. But this time using the motif to almost create a geometrical pattern. This took a while to get to how I wanted it, because the V's as such, or the mermaid's tail, had to be in the right position. I had this print digitally printed, and then I wanted a more painterly effect. And I think my work, at this point, I discovered that my work actually works better when I layer upon layer and layer my techniques. So this time I took one of my screen prints and used some foiling to create almost with again with the idea of like pollution. How does this affect the ocean, or in this case, the mermaids? So there was splatters of paint effect. This is what I have named my Nereid print. I gave myself permission to enjoy and let my mind go when designing this print. It reminds me of an Art Nouveau print. I learnt that my prints are more interesting when I draw in an analogue, this time with Garage Paints. Exploring sublimation prints, adopting a more childlike way of drawing. I found that there was something really powerful and special about watching a child doing some art making at work with different media. It was this freeness and explorative nature that I wanted to capture in a print. another sample using sublimation papers or tissue paper, and again just collaging these and the negatives of my mermaid to create this lovely effect. Sample was particularly important in my realization that I could layer my screen printing and not be scared of it, and add flocking or accents of flocking. Through practice and research, I explored different techniques like flocking, screen printing, embellishments, sublimation prints, and foiling, etc. I discovered that some of these methods obviously are not environmentally safe, even though all the materials I used were eco-friendly. The embellishments are again recycled. The fabrics are all recycled. Yeah, but it was a process of like research, and there was mistakes made, and some of them were very successful. I'm particularly proud of my screen printing samples and the layers of flocking and foiling were my best in my opinion. Another seamless print. This one was more fluid, and I don't know, the rhythm has more balance, I think. This it was in preparation for my screen printing, but actually I think the black and white works really well. It's more effective. using two different screens, the one of my coral and the other one the sea life. I layered these in different hues and foils to create quite an interesting pattern. Um, I like these. I think they work really well, and they're really beautiful to the touch. Actually, very tactile.
With me, there'll be a world of pure imagination. Take a look.
I took my samples to the beach just to take some photographs, but unfortunately it was very windy, so I was only able to take pictures of two of my samples. But it was just to see how the samples will look like in the right context. I think these are. I like the lighting, and it's interesting to see how bold and vibrant these samples are against the sea. Since I was a child, I have this thing about swimming pools, and I often find myself imagining my prints in the as little tiles to create like the bottom of a swimming pool. Images of my samples being draped just to explore the movement in within the fabric and the pattern. exploring extending my prints, like repeating my with the screen. So it was the first time I achieved a seamless pattern on an analog method. Also adding embellishments and flocking to sort of deconstruct the the obvious mermaid print. These are some of my favourite samples, and I had so much fun doing these. They were a complete new thing for me. I started off by foiling through screen print the form of the mermaid, and I added a few different color foils, like and these were patchy, and then I this took about 3 layers, and then I added a layer of just screen print, and it came out with this beautiful effect. It's very subtle, but you have to actually move the fabric to see the different shimmers and different colours poking through the print. It was very difficult to successfully take pictures of these samples and show actually how beautiful they are. They almost became more silky, and yeah. This surface pattern is a combination of my learnings in contemporary practice I think the visual language is a bit more fluid. The pattern is less blocky, and I also scaled down the amount of hues that I used. So although it's a very busy print, it's less sort of reflecting on my work for contemporary practice. I created this visual map of inspiration and what led me to what. My critical review, writing my critical review was extremely important in informing my work and understanding what for me is the power of textiles, and how can I communicate through textiles or through pattern, and what do my patterns communicate, and some of my solutions or outcomes was that I don't have to be very literal in how I communicate through pattern, because my work will speak for itself through colour, whether it's through colour, through pattern, through the story I tell through my motifs.